Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's Mindset Explosion on whatever day it is today. I think it's Thursday all day long. I don't know what year we're in, but season 4, episode 7. And today's episode is named after my special guest, Laura-Jayne Hand, her brand new book, More Than a Mindset. Have you got it there? Oh, yes, look at that.
Timing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Laura. Laura's actually your relationship coach, aren't you? So obviously, any questions, comments, please drop them in, and we can maybe, if you've got any questions for Laura as we're talking, and we'll put them on the screen and you can answer them. But so today we're just talking about more than a mindset, and what a little bit about your book, but how you got into this. And obviously off air, we had a great conversation. So Laura, how did you get into relationship coaching, and how has your life evolved to here?
Wow. So relationship coaching and the whole mindset, I read every book, every self-help book. I think I just consumed, like one after another. Didn't even see anything else, didn't even know anything about any fiction books. It was just always self-development. And I always picked up a book, and when you love it and you're really excited about it, like, yes, this is the one. And then I'd sort of forget about it. And then I'd do the same with the next. And I'd be like, yes, this is the one. I found the secret. And it'd be like, oh, but still something's not right. And I just always had this feeling inside of just not being good enough. And it was like anything that I did, whatever I ate, whatever fancy supplements, whatever amazing diet, whatever meditation I decided to try that month, fancy rose meditations or whatever, just something always seemed to be missing. And I always thought, what's that missing piece? What am I missing? Has everybody else got something that I've not? And that's when I ended up traveling the world, like, to find myself. And I spent thousands, like literally thousands of pounds, traveling the world, meeting gurus, shamans, monks, yogis, you name it, some of the most famous spiritual teachers we know. And I'd still come back and I'd be like, I kind of know what the missing piece is now. And I was on a plane. This was like the moment when it all fell together. I was on a plane at Manchester Airport, and when the doors shut and it's like, right, we're going. And I just burst into tears. And I was leaving my husband, I was leaving my life to go, only for a month. It's not as dramatic as I'm making it out to be. But a month's a long time when you're going to Thailand on your own. And I realised the missing pieces when I was like, when the doors had shut. And have you ever seen Friends, that episode where Rachel wants to get off the plane? She's on.
People are gonna hate me. I could not get into Friends.
Netflix, you need to get into Friends.
Go on, sorry, but carry on. Everyone else can relate, but apart from me.
Everybody else might relate, but Matt. Anyway, the door's shut and she's like, I need to get off the plane. She's realised she wants to be with Ross. I need to get off the plane. And she can't. But obviously she can because it's all filmed. But I couldn't get off. And I was like stuck on this plane to Dubai. The connection was to Bangkok, then Koh Samui. And everything just started to like come together. So everything that I'd learned, I just started to make notes of. And then I didn't realise it would turn into a book. But every time I kind of hit another bump, on the roller coaster, it would be like, right, pick up what I've learned. And then it sort of dawned on me that it might help other people as well. And that's how the book was born.
Right. And is that your first book?
Yeah.
It is your first. And when was that released?
In January last month.
Yeah. No, brilliant. So how long has it taken to put that together then?
Oh, not longer than it should have done. So you see people write books, don't you? And it's like 1 minute I've started a new book, 3 months later it's on the shelf. Well, that didn't happen for me because there was a lot of barriers in the way, mainly me. We talked before we went live about imposter syndrome, all those sort of self-doubts. Who am I to write a book? Would anybody listen? Does it actually make sense? All those kind of things. And a lot of beliefs from being a child, like English teachers that would say, you're rubbish at spelling, or I think I got an E at GCSE English, so that doesn't help, does it? But then it's only as an adult that you realise you can buy people in to edit your books, you know, and to do those kind of jobs, and you're just there to create it. But yeah, so probably about 3 years, but like 10 to 12 years of like learnings that have really gone into it. And it's when I started to like go beyond my mind, because I could tell that it was my mind that was holding me back.
Yeah.
I started to go beyond that, and that's where the book came from.
But I think what you've just shared there, I mean, obviously, I've been watching a lot of your videos since we've been putting that group together, and I've got to say, you're just so much full of energy. I really love it. You know, it's like, oh my God, pick me up. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for the videos you put out, Laura. They're amazing. And when I seen it was doing the book, I was like, oh, more the mindset. That's cool. I like that. Oh, look at the cover. Oh, I love that cover. But just listening to you there, and I think you've touched on, you know, quite a few things that, and I guess because, you know, we can be on social media a lot and we're talking about mindset, but we've gone through those things that people are feeling, and it's I think it's a daily battle, right? It's easy to creep in. So I think that makes the book so much more powerful, because I guess you would have shared and like, well, this is how I had to deal with, you know, these things, right?
Absolutely. And so the first half of the book I call the theory. So everything, like, I learned the theory, so you can always refer back to that. And the second half of the book is called the practice, so the daily experience, because like you say, how your moods can change in a minute, can't they, in an hour, in a day. And it's having those sort of anchors and those practices to keep coming back to. So you can just pick up your phone, can't you, read something and be like, oh,
yeah,
and your mood's gone. And it's knowing how to sort of change that state. And it's not, there's quite a few practices in the book, and it's not to say you need to follow them all every single day in this order. It's like, here's a toolbox. So one day you might need more of that, one day you might need more of that, but together it's like the real transformation in them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I guess it's that old thing, you know, the bank of time, but it's the same for our mind, I feel. And, you know, when I talked to you just before we came live about, you know, I went through depression, and I was doing a lot of mindset and personal development. But looking back, what I realized, I didn't work. I forgot I was doing this for other people, but then not working upon myself. So things happen. And I remember being at a seminar years ago, whatever it was, and one of the guys on the stage, you know, you can spend like a whole weekend on one of these events, right? And one person will say 2 lines and it stays you. And this was one of them. And it was, we're only 3 seconds away from a breakdown. And what that means is that, and it sounds quite negative, but I feel this is why mindset is so important. You know, if we could go back a year, you know, look at last year and how mental health has been affected. You know, everyone's life is flipped upside down. Even the ones that are prospering, it's flipped upside down, because, you know, we've had to, you know, people have had to have a new way of thinking, and life has changed for everybody, regardless of it's a pro or a, you know, a down, really. So, and in 2 seconds, you know, it can be great news as well. But I feel that mindset, personal development is so important. It's like a fitness. We got to train it. And when we're great, it's the best time to train it, because you really do stock up.
Yeah, exactly. That's the actual introduction to the podcast. Help you rise on your down days and go even higher on your good days. Because it's like when you're down, sometimes you just need that little lift, don't you? And when you're up, it's like, right, amplify it. Like, how can I like really soak in and feel it, you know?
No, definitely. We've just got, it's my friend Ninja Nguyen, all the way from America. Hey, Ninja, thank you. If you've got any questions, please drop them in. So you'll love this episode, buddy. If you're just jumping in, catch it on the rewind.
I mean, there's lots of children as well in the picture.
Yes. No, fantastic family, Ninja and Anna. Yeah. Sorry, I got just distracted then. So your podcast. So your podcast is it the High Rise or Rise Higher?
Rise Higher podcast.
Rise Higher, yeah. And And when is that running? Tell us a bit more about your podcast.
So yeah, I do that every week. So like we were saying, every Monday I record it, every Saturday it comes out live. And that's just everything about the book, really. You know, it's just everything again I see it as like an online journal. So everything I've learned that week, it just kind of gets all assimilated into a podcast episode, and then I record it. And they always end with, it's like 20 minutes, and then they end with like a 10-minute guided meditation visualization. And then there's just like, I call it the Netflix of episodes now, because there's just like so many different episodes you can go through. And if you're feeling down, if you're feeling anxious, you know, if you're feeling on top of the world, if you want to write the goals, that kind of thing, there's everything in there. And like we've just said with the introduction, it's help you rise on your down days and go even higher on your good days.
No, I love that. I love that. So that's just on all podcast channels.
Yeah, on every podcast channel. Yeah.
No, and obviously to follow Laura, I put your link tree in so they can get hold of you for all the great things that you're doing. And in terms of that, so because obviously we were talking about a few things before we linked into that. So do you have times, you know, like normally I'm on a Sunday, and you know we're coming on to talk about mindset or development or anything like that. So how? Because I have days when I just think, oh, really not today. I really want to turn up. How do you
admit it? How do I get over that?
Yeah.
By just doing the tools that are in the book, you know, even if it's just one of them, to just, and sometimes I think that less is more. You know, you know all the tools. You can meditate, you can visualize, you can breathe, you can exercise. And sometimes that's like a job in itself. And then the child gets up and then you've got a day's work there as well. So sometimes I think it's just picking one. And I always find the one that works for me is to actually breathe. And that's the first one in the book, that how many times I notice in the day that I'm not actually breathing, that I don't even know how I'm here sometimes. And you can feel it in your tummy, like your tummy's all tense, and you're just breathing into your chest. And I just find as soon as you start to take a few really deep breaths into your tummy, you just sort of come down again. And it's like, right, okay, everything's all right, you know, and sort of crack on again. But like we said, you know, there's a toolbox within the book. There's a toolbox within all the books on the shelves, isn't there? And it's sometimes just about picking one for that moment, whatever it might be, you know.
Yeah, no, I see what I agree with that. And like for me, I have to move. I think what you said is perfect. It is finding the one that's right for you.
Yeah.
I find when I move a little bit, maybe it's just from, you know, my training. Even, you know, if I was going in to do a big tour, and there's a point where I could really it's almost like I'm moving my head. But you just said, the guy I just put up, Ninja, he said something so similar to you once to me. As a friend I met, great friend I met over in the States, and he said something, you know, about breathing, and just as he's popped his name up, I remember something again. It's something stuck in my head. What he said was, you know, we have to take out the trash in our heads.
Yeah,
that's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that for you, breathing exercise takes the trash out.
Yeah.
Get that movement going.
It changes your state, doesn't it? And somebody messaged me yesterday. I've read the book, and what exactly that, I moved, and instead she was feeling down in the afternoon, that lull. So instead of going for the chocolate, she just went for a walk outside, came back, changed the state. Right, I'm ready. And it's having that awareness, you know, that you can change your state yourself. You don't need to spend thousands of pounds. You don't need to rely on somebody else. You don't need anything expensive. You've got it all in here. You just need to tap into it, and it's knowing that. So it's sort of bringing my book, my podcast. It's all about like bringing yourself back to you, and knowing that you've got everything you need, and that you're all right with that.
Yeah, definitely. So you feel more comfortable in yourself, and I think, I don't know if you said it before or after, but it was all about, you said it had to be working on yourself.
Yeah, and that's where the relationship coaching came from, because I found that there was always like this emphasis on needing something else outside of you. And then when every relationship started to go like the same way, and like even not intimate relationships, even just any relationship, I always found like I was the like common denominator. So I thought, well, I can blame you and I can blame you, but really I'm the same person showing up in each relationship, whether that's with my parents, my son, my husband, my friends, whatever, colleagues. And it's like, it's who you're bringing to the table every day, isn't it? And that's why, I mean, one of the tools I've started to implement really is a nap every day at 12 o'clock. So 20-minute nap, you lie down, bit of meditation, bit of a, relax. And then that just gets you back to yourself, and fully charged again. So it's trying to keep that energy high without pretending that you're always high. Because when you said before, you get down days, some days you just think, oh, who doesn't,
Yeah.
who doesn't? And that I always think that sometimes the down days are seen to be like the bad guys.
Yeah.
Like, well, we shouldn't be down. We should always be really happy, and we should be like a smiley emoji all the time. But that's not real, and what's wrong with the down and the dark? There's nothing wrong with that if we know how to get out of it.
Yeah. Do you know what? I fully agree with that. And yeah, you've highlighted so much there, because and I'm thinking about myself really. I started to feel guilty for feeling bad, feeling down, just like feeling that way. And if someone might have made a comment about it, even in terms of relationship or however, I allow myself to feel worse about that. Does that make sense? And now I feel more recently. There's actually a young man who's a client of mine with Asperger's, and him talking about Asperger's and saying, I live with it. I learned it's part of me. And just in that sense, it made me think, well, actually, when I'm having a bit of a day where I don't feel like doing much, that's part of me.
Yeah.
I know how to get myself out of it. And it might, if it's a day, it's a day. That's worst case scenario for me, I'd say now. If it's a day where I think, great what you said, you put in, you're scheduling in those naps or as and when you need it. And I know you've got young children, right? So it's not, we need to get that time in so that we are the best we can be for ourselves, and knocking on to, for our relationships with our children or friends and partners, everything else, right? Is that kind of...
Absolutely. And that by you saying that, you're sort of not disowning yourself. You're saying that, and that's the most important relationship, isn't it? The one we have with ourselves. But when you say like, oh, I'm down, and then we beat ourselves up about it, then it's only hurting us,
Yeah.
And by acknowledging that and saying, well, actually, I am on a really down day today. Those days when your head's muzzy and you just can't work and you just can't get anything good going. Well, that's fine. Maybe that relationship with you is saying, well, have a break, maybe today's time for a break. Because I think if you're motivated, so my husband always says, when he first learned about this, he was like, I might become a couch potato though. The balance of like letting go and just accepting things like that. But it's not, because we're obviously motivated, but it's knowing when to step back and be like, right, I'm not feeling it today. I've got these different tools I can use. They can raise me up a little bit, but sometimes it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And then you don't disown yourself, and then you find that you eventually like love yourself even more, and then it just gets even better.
Do you find it comes down to a little bit of more, when we don't feel motivated, and you could feel like that? Like I could feel like that, say in the morning, but an hour later I'm actually highly motivated. Or it could go on longer, and it might just be for the day where I'm gonna have a lazy day, and I don't care. It's like I don't, just because I might have a mentor saying, yeah, you need to go on social media, blah, 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 doesn't. I just think, do you know what? I don't want to. But on that side of things, but more in some things though, is it a question of a bit of self-discipline to say, okay, I need to get up, and then go from there?
Yeah, there's self-discipline in the habits within so many things. Like there's a self-discipline to rest, like it's a habit to rest. There's a habit of feeling good, you know, and how many times do we sort of in the habit of maybe not feeling good and the habit of not resting. So I think for me, it's all about balance. Like I've got the mentors like you daily on it, on it, on it. And you sometimes think, oh, like there's days when you're just not on it, but maybe that's okay to share that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not on it today, kind of thing. That's true, isn't it? And I think that's when some of my posts have gone the best, when people are like, oh, she's not always high as a kite, because I'm not, you know. Like we've said before, there's the light, there's the dark, there's the up, there's the down, and that's like part of it. And I think when you fully embrace that, then you sort of become a bit more at peace with yourself. And then like you think, well, I don't need to strive and struggle as much. I can just sort of let go a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I just remember an interview I did, a lady called Tina, she lives in Canada. She's actually from my area. Be a great interview. She's a yogi, but she said something actually, and it's pretty much what you've just said. And like we don't want bad things to happen. We don't want that darkness there, but we need it because it does highlight the light, you know, the good stuff. It reminds us of, you know, actually, you know, it's part of being human. We don't want to feel sad, but we do need it.
Yeah.
And we don't want to feel tired, but we do need it. And I love what you said about disciplining yourself for work, because I think years ago, I got to get this done and I need to finish this. And it's still there. It's still that little man saying, oh, come on, you'll be right. You know, what are you going to do tonight anyway? So I'm really learning. It stops there. I could have a long list. If it's a really big project, of course, I will continue it over. But I've really, like, for me, time became so important. It became such a valuable, commodity to have. Manjeet's left us a comment. So has Melanie. 100% agree. It's good to have a break, especially when you are self-employed. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, because you can just keep going, can't you? And it's having that discipline to stop. Like when I was writing the book, there was times when, you know, your head feels like it will explode. And it takes that discipline to walk away and go for a walk around the block, because you think, am I being lazy? Like, you know, am I going to get left behind? Am I going to hit my deadlines?
Yeah.
But of course you are, because you're coming out of that fight or flight, you know, and just letting things settle a little bit. It's amazing after those naps I have, the ideas that I get after it. It's like I get these, and I sometimes write them down at the side, because I'm like, right, remember that, because that would be a good post. So it's just letting yourself come down a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm a bit like you, Laura. I've got like a list of episodes I want to make for when I do, like, maybe the podcast where it's not an interview, but like this, going through all the time. Do you have I mean, I don't drink coffee soon. I'm more of a tea drinker, but I did try a couple of times. Right, I'm having a nap, but I'll have a coffee before, but it's supposed to wake you up naturally.
Okay.
A bit after that 20 minutes.
I can't help you with that, because I don't drink coffee. I think I'm a bit allergic to it, because I just
I don't do that. Then you will wake up, but for the wrong reason.
I know. Yeah, I'm not very good at caffeine, so I stick to the tea, really.
Yeah. And obviously, being have you just the one child, or
just one? Yeah,
one.
3.5-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Full of beans. Full of beans.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
Best thing in the world. And does this, you know, because obviously being a mum and everything, and how do you work that balance in, and that more than the mindset into everything that you do?
Yeah, it's interesting when you were talking about time. And in the past, I would think the more hours I put in, the better it will be. And it's only in the last year, I think, that I've put less hours in, but I've actually been better. And it's, you know what it's like in the morning when you're trying to get a child out. Until you've had a child, I had no idea how difficult it was to get one out the door. And then once you've done that and you've dropped them off at nursery and you come back, I used to get straight on to working. And now I don't, because I just think, I just need a minute. You know, I need a minute, cup of tea, come down a little bit, and then just not rush as much. And I think that not pushing and forcing as much made the book sort of come together easier. It sounds really weird. You think you've got, we're kind of taught to like take the bull by the horns, aren't we, and push and force and stuff. But that came together when I kind of let go and just did what I could. I don't do anything more than 90 minutes because I just feel like my head will explode. So I just think 90 minutes at a time, and then that's enough.
I think that's some really good tips there, Laura. Thank you. And even I'm taking that on board. I know Rob Moore, you know, one of our mentors. He and I took that. It was like a 30-minute, 5-minute break, and I think it is finding your happy medium, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. See, if and exactly that is what works for you. So if I stop every 30 minutes, I don't get anything done. So
I was the same.
It's a bit too short, but it works for some people. Some people do 15 minutes. I'm like, what? So I literally phone off, no distractions, kind of shut myself away. 90 minutes, done. And then there's no guilt.
No, there's no guilt. And probably it's not 90 minutes because you've switched off all the distractions, because I think that is key. When I, you know, I went to work in a normal situation at the studio, I won't get much done. If I stay at home, but I need to go down there sometimes just for my own mentality of let me out the house. That's before COVID.
Yeah.
But if I stayed at home and I did an hour, no phone, not answer any emails, I've probably done about 4 hours at least in that hour, because you take all those distractions away. So yeah, no,
absolutely.
Brilliant.
The Swiss have got it right, haven't they? Don't they just do a 4-day week?
Yeah.
And they're meant to be more productive than we are.
Yeah, I think it you know, it's things. I think like what you may have said it just now. I think it may somehow be socially conditioned into us a little bit. Same with relationships.
Yeah, the longer you work, the more. Yeah. And it's not true. Burnout, isn't it? That's when you get the burnout.
And I think that's exactly what happened to me. It was, in how my depression came on, I felt, I got to make this, well, I wasn't exactly the owner then, but I needed to make that work. I was in charge of everything. And obviously my children's mum was looking after the boys at home. So I had it all wrong. I was all out of alignment. And then it took its toll. But again, even though it was a horrible time and it was going through it was horrible, I know probably a bit more spiritual than we might get into, but that had to happen. Everything happened for a reason. That was part of my journey, and I didn't like it, but I'm grateful for it.
Absolutely. You hear that all the time, don't you? Some of the toughest things people have been through, it's what shaped them. It's like the diamond analogy, isn't it? You've got to be crushed and squoze into a diamond before you'll sort of shine. And that's where the relationship coaching came from again, because obviously me and my husband have been through quite a lot with work, businesses, a bit of stress going on for a few years, and that takes its toll on your relationship. And there was so much advice out there that was just not right, that if I'd implemented, I'd be in a completely different place than I am now. And it was only by chance meeting somebody else that had sort of a different view on it that we were able to like transform the relationship, instead of, because the amount of couples I work with where the question is, do I stay, do I go? Because it's intense, in those moments where it's down, you're stressed, it's intense. My response is to run away from things. That's my normal fight or flight, not to bury my head. It's just to get the hell out of there, and it's actually learning to stay there in the dark times and be like, right, what is this teaching me? What what can come from this? And sometimes that's a change in career, isn't it? Sometimes it's a change in partner. Sometimes it can be any change in life, new diet, new exercise regime, start an exercise regime for one. So yeah, I just think that almost that darkness can be embraced because of what it will produce in the future, you know.
Yeah, I know. I totally understand that, and thank you for being so open and transparent about stuff on how you've got to where you've got to. Really, it's important, and it helps. And I'm sure someone that's watching is going to be able to relate, or is to that, or maybe have been through it or gone through it. So thank you for that. And it does. I wouldn't say it's by chance. I would say that things you met the person to help you guys, is that it was on a direction for there, but where your head's at is that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
Have you ever read or listened to the Chimp Paradox?
Yes.
Yeah. And there was a bit in there where he talked about relationships, but making the lists out. And there's just learning that some things, that these are all the happy things, these are the great things, and then the list of don't like these, they're a bit annoying, but I can live with it. And then the list number 3, and that for me, I just thought, wow, I really that was so powerful when I heard that.
Absolutely. Is it a little bit like the 80-20 thing, where there's people focus on the 20% they don't like in the partner or the job, but they forget the 80% that's amazing. So you go off searching for the 20% you think you're missing in somebody else, and you leave the 80% behind. And it's like constantly searching. It's that constant search for someone, something, to sort of make you feel at one. And it sort of doesn't need to be that difficult, I think. And once you've got the right tools, you can sort of navigate your way through it a little bit better. And I find it really, really traumatic. So I thought, if I can help somebody else just have the tools in front of them and they can just go to them whenever they need them, then that's what I would have loved. That's what I felt was missing. So that's why I put it together.
Oh, brilliant. No, brilliant. Just about to finish up, but thank you so much for coming on, Laura. Have you got
inviting me?
Oh, pleasure. And please come on again. Have you got any workshops coming up, or if someone wants to get in touch with you about relationship coaching, how do they go about that?
Yeah, get in touch with me. I'm on Instagram, Laura-Jayne Hand, LinkedIn, and Facebook, Laura-Jayne Hand. I'm currently doing a lot of one-to-ones with couples at the minute. I'm finding with what's going on in lockdown, there's quite a lot of work. I've got a workshop coming up called Healthy, Sexy, Happy Relationships. So I'll be promoting that soon. That's for the end of February. With February being the love month, I thought it was appropriate to, raise the vibe in relationships a little bit. But yeah, just reach out via email is laurajanehand8@gmail.com. And then, you can find me on all the social media.
No, brilliant. I've obviously put your Linktree thing on there, but please, if you want to comment on we're on LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn, some Facebook things. So yeah, just go ahead, drop that in, please, so they know how to get hold of you. Sorry, go on, Laura.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say the book's on Amazon.
Oh, yes.
The podcast is on Apple and iTunes and all the other ones, Castbox, everything else.
Definitely. Listen, subscribe to Laura's channels. There's amazing content on there. Really upbeat. I love it. It's and I'm like, oh, I like that. I'll have to put that in, and just filling up the toolbox, right? Just before we go, Clubhouse is just all the rage in our community, I think, at the moment.
Yeah.
Those are on Clubhouse. Have you got any rooms coming up, or anything that you're doing that you just wanted to share real quick? Or
my first ever one was last night, actually, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm thinking of setting them up like one a week. So I'll let you know, and then you can maybe spread the word as well. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. And I'd love to come in and
yeah, let's do one together.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on.
No, my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for coming on. I've enjoyed it. I've got stuff, so I'm going to have to write notes down.
I know. I've got a pen here because I was like, I need to write notes as well. Watch it back together. We can have a watch party.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. So I will be back on Sunday evening at 7:30, and my guest on Sunday is, wow, it's I got a good one, especially if you've got teenagers that need some help with GCSE. So and a little bit of mindset coaching in there as well. All right, peace, love, see you all later. Bye.
Bye. Bye.